people are held captive by being an employee or self-employed. Heroes Academy helps break these chains that bind them. Our financial school has 2 courses of study. First, one for people who want to transition to become business owners, and the second for students who want to learn to become an investor. For more information, please go to heroacad.com.
Hey, this is Coffee Black, coming through to bring you the latest in sports, celebrity, and entertainment news. Here's the Sip this week. So, we don't know what's going to happen with RG3 and the Redskins this season, but we do know that he and his wife are expecting a baby. Congrats to them, and maybe the success will carry on to the team. In other news, Jameis Winston will be playing a waiting game to see which team is willing to pick him up with all his drama. And Vivica Fox wants us all to know that 50 Cent was the love of her life. If you ask me, somebody caught her on Valentine's Day after a few glasses of wine. Lastly, Kanye wants us to know something about his daughter. North has been throwing tantrums throughout New York Fashion Week because others hate her daddy. I disagree. I think that little girl is just over the lights and cameras, unlike her parents. Let that little girl be great and be at home. I'm just saying. Check out more on my site, thesipwithcoffeeblack.com, and tune in next week to The Sip with Coffee Black. No sugar, no cream.
Welcome to Realize with Dr. Bruce and Ronnie. We are so excited because tonight we're bringing you a show with some very special guests that are going to be talking about marriage or nah. Relationship choices for future generations. We have in our studio Desiree Blackstone, Jerry Macklin, Justin J. Rock Pickett, and Russell Rocky Gaskins, along with me, Ronnie, and Dr. Bruce. So I'm going to let our guests do a brief introduction, and then we're going to get right into the show. And if you have thoughts about relationships, the good, the bad, the ugly, just feel free to call in at 646-652-2512. And we're going to begin with ladies first. Desiree.
Hi, I'm Desiree. I'm 23. I graduated from college recently. I went to Loyola, and now I work in Annapolis at a real estate brokerage.
Hello, my name is Jerry Macklin. I'm 38 years old, former pastor, Army officer. Now I'm a spiritual life coach.
I'm Justin J. Rock Pickett. I'm 37. I guess you can say I've got a lot of life experiences. I've been to Howard, to prison, back, and I'm a real estate agent at this point.
Hey, I'm Russell Rocky Gaskins, boxer, producer, writer, evangelist from Washington, D.C.
And I'm Dr. Bruce. I'm a psychologist by trade, executive director of Higher Hopes Inc., a community-based nonprofit organization, and we look forward to really get down to the bottom of this relationship piece. So today, well, this whole concept of relationships and how we perceive them and what's going on now for the future of relationships comes from a series of real-life focus groups that we held across the country with young people and adults. And we're getting feedback that relationships, the formal marriage part of relationships is becoming obsolete, and that young people are opting out to do it another way versus go through the ritualistic marriage process. And we want to talk about really what's going on. And as we've been talking already, just, getting ready for the show, it's very interesting, how we all perceive this concept of, all kinds of relationships, but what's going on with them, how are they starting. And we're going to start with Rock. And I want to know, how do you see, what's your view? You're what, 22, 23 years old. How do you see relationships now? And go back to when you were first starting to date and your perceptions then, and how do you see it now?
I mean, I never was really taught anything about dating and girls and stuff like that. My father was a great, awesome father. That's just something he left out on. environment, my community, and even from television and the media, I never really been taught that a family is just, mother, father, and kids. Because everywhere I look, it's just the mother, or maybe just the father, maybe, just nobody there. Mm-hmm. So I never really seen that aspect as what I learned now that it should be. Mm-hmm. I just see, broken homes.
Wow. And let's go over to Desiree, and building on kind of what Rocky's saying, like, what's been your view from the time of being younger to now? What's your view of formal relationships?
Well, it was always ingrained for me, to my sister, brother, and I, at a young age, that we were supposed to get married. Very religious household, grandmother's a pastor. So we always had that perception, but our personal experience, we didn't have necessarily the best example of what that meant in our household. I think like a lot of kids experience growing up. And I think how I've really changed from when I first started dating to now, 23, where I actually feel like a real adult for the first time, is that I realized I have so much time. Like, I really thought that I was going to marry the kid that I was with at 14 years old, my first love. I was with him for 2.5 years. And now I realize at 23 I'm not ready to even think about marriage. It's just not even something I am ready to deal with for a couple of years. So I think that's also why you see a decline, because women we have so many more options these days, and contraceptive, birth control, things like that. Women a lot of times in the past got married so young because they were pregnant. And now that you have different options as a woman, and we want to live our lives just like men want to live their lives. So, I don't know.
Interesting. Well, is marriage, and for both of you, before we go to on to the older, just slightly older brother, do y'all look forward to marriage? I'll ask you first, Rocky. Do you look forward to the idea of getting married one day?
I mean, I was previously engaged, so all my peers, the type of dude I grew up in, the type of, look that I had in my past, and people still look at me as that type of person. They wouldn't expect me to probably be getting married at 19, 20. Mm-hmm. It seems almost irrelevant in our culture and my age group. But I was actually ready and I still am ready to, get married. Because, I always had love from my parents, but it wasn't that emotional love, like that physical hug you love. Mm-hmm. They showed me love with, what they taught me, right from wrong, money, always put me in the right schools, in the right places. But that emotional aspect, I never really had that, and I found that in a woman. Mm-hmm. So that completed my life. I already had God, I already had loved ones. I just hadn't had emotional, physical love. Mm-hmm. So once I found out that I could get that in a woman, that completed my mission, and that was the missing link. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm prepared to get married.
Okay. You, Desiree, do you look forward to it? Like, I know you said before it was something that you knew, you're supposed to get married and stuff, and I don't know if it was a Prince Charming kind of piece, that the idea that someday it'd be Prince Charming and that would be the way life will go. Do you feel that way now?
I hope for that. Everybody wants their happy ending, but there's just so much that I have to do for myself first that I now realize, and I'm just more capable than I thought I was, and I really feel like marriage is just something that's probably going to happen later for me at this point, if it does. And this is the first time I'm actually thinking that possibly I couldn't get married, Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't even know what to think at this point, honestly. I'm going through so many changes at 23, you wouldn't even believe. Everything I thought I feel got turned upside down. Mm-hmm. So, who knows what in the cards for me. I hope that one day I can get married and have kids and all that, but I realize that possibly that may not happen. So we'll see.
I want to ask Jerry in particular about feminists. Do you think that feminists and the feminist movement is hurting relationships with, in piggybacking off of what Desiree said about being independent, she has things that she wants to do before she settles down. Do you think women now just say, I don't really need a man?
Well, first of all, the origins of feminism was not what it is now. The origins of feminism was to equal pay, equal respect in the workplace for women. It has morphed into something completely different now, to this whole girl power movement where men are wicked and women are great, or vice versa. And if you look at many universities now, when they talk about feminism, it is something completely different from what my grandmother or your mother or so on was taught feminism was. And so we got to start there. If we get the true definition of feminism, then I don't see a problem with it, because I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman making just as much money as a guy makes. If she studies hard, works hard, peaks in the workforce, why can't she reap the harvest? So, but if you want to do this new feminism 2K, then no, it'll be very difficult for a feminist of this era.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't know her name off the top of her head, but if you hear even some of the literature from these current feminists, very, very harsh, very, very direct attacks at basic things that the society has to offer. That are, I'll give you an example. If a man has a corporation, he started a corporation, and the board of directors don't select a female, doesn't mean you weren't selected because they hate you. It's just that there are 7 people on the board, and they decided not to select you. And I think I'm not going to go over all that, but I think you understand my point. I hope I answered your question properly.
Yes. And J-Rock, for you, in meeting females, especially because one of the things that you didn't mention is you're also an artist who performs. Right. I'm sure you're out and about and surrounded by a lot of females. What are some qualities that you look for in a female when establishing, if you want to even be in a relationship? Do you go for that independent woman, or do you go for someone who needs you, or, what are the traits that attract you?
It's sort of ironic because the biggest thing I look for is loyalty, and I think a lot of what I've lacked in my life and what young black men have lacked is loyalty throughout their life, throughout early on, later, and loyalty becomes to any guy's life is a big deal. To me, anyway, it's a big deal. Whether it be through me going through school, me going through court, whatever my situation is, if you're rocking with me through this situation, loyalty is my biggest issue. And it's hard to see that rhyming, because when I rhyme, I'm meeting the least loyal people, the least, I'm evolved, you know what I mean? Because whoever's hot is who everybody's with, especially in this metropolitan, because a guy might not like this guy, but if you make a hot song or your movement is pushing, man, this guy that doesn't like you will be right over here with you, moving with you, try to get some shine. It happens every day.
That's interesting. I mean, even the loyalty piece, the idea of loyalty. For example, we were middle schoolers, if a love a promise, the first time you say "I love you," is that a promise? Is that a statement and a promise that means something else as far as your commitment to another person? And what ended up being the answer was they say it should, but they don't even know what it means. But they know they feel something and it feels good, but they don't. It's no tangible attachments. So if I say I love you, and almost like you said earlier, J-Rock, in a moment, I might love you in a moment, But next moment,
tomorrow changes.
It may not be that. But is that the reality of where people are?
But Dr. Bruce, like in talking to you, I think like it's really difficult to define even what a relationship is, because what I've found is that it looks different for everybody. My definition of what a relationship is different from your relationship view and probably each person at this table. So how do we come together and lay it out on the table what the expectations are? You know, is that something that is needed before we even venture off into saying that we're in relationship?
I think it's definitely needed. I think that speaks also to leadership and being able to buy into a common ideology that has rituals that we accept. And we accept the rituals, and as a society, then we're going to operate that way and go by the rules pretty much. But it's like we're in a cheating society. Like, we're in a cheating culture. Everyone wants a cheat code. Even kids, they win the game, get the game too hard. Give me a cheat code so I can actually get through the game easier. And I still feel the same way about winning. It's like it didn't happen. Like I didn't have it. It's going to be invincible. You know, whether it be a virtual universe or a real one. You know, the idea of what it means to be in a relationship. Now, like, how do we interject something that's going to be a core foundational piece with the media that's shooting all kinds of mixed messages to our children? And I see you want to get a jag.
I mean, I agree with you, Dr. Bruce, but I think one of the things that we have to remember is that love is learned. You have to learn. It requires intimacy. It requires time, relationship. You know, the root word of relationship is relate. If you're not going to take the time to invest and to relate in the person, then you can't expect the fruit of love. We've been taught that love is a feeling. I was taught the same thing. And if people don't teach it to you verbally, they teach it to you non-verbally by some of their actions. They think everything is based upon a feeling. How many times you've had to tell a child no, and you told them no because you loved them, and they didn't feel that, but the right thing for you to say no and to stand your ground because you understood that if you didn't say no right now, 5 years from now, it would destroy them. So I think what I've learned in my life is that everybody has to take the time to learn how to love. You meet a person, you date a person, you relate to them. It's intimacy, oneness. You got to have that oneness. It takes time. From a spiritual perspective, which is my worldview, everything starts at the two becoming one. In order for two to become one, they have to be able to relate to each other and be willing to put in the time and the work to do so.
But the learning piece, like, you know, animals love, like, they love without learning to love. Like,
you know why? They don't have a will.
Well, but still, like, I mean, like, the idea is that there's something instinctive that's interwoven into you that allows you to love. Because, I mean, the feeling is just a neurological response to let you know that it's something good about this. Like, you know, there's something good, like, that how you feeling, like it's a response. And that should be the incentive to continue it. But even though, like, we find other ways to find that stimulation, whether it be drugs or even, like, other, like, lustful kind of pieces and call that love. Like, I love lust. You know, I love actually the feeling of that moment, but I don't love the process of you. So I think the like versus love piece is huge in that. Like, and I do agree though, because you have to. But it's like, do you learn to love or do you learn to like?
But see, it's a process. This is one thing you have to be real with. Everything in life is a process. Nothing just happens. A flower doesn't bloom. A flower doesn't bloom just because. There's a process in place. You have to have water, have to have sun, have to have time, all that. It's the same for relationships. I met this gentleman here today. I like him, what I know of him, but if I got to know him a little bit more and spent more time, maybe I may not like him anymore. It requires time, steps, relationships, that's what it's all about. And if you're not willing to put in that time, like you said, the cheat code, if you're willing to do the cheat code, i.e. social media, the dating game, and all this other stuff, you're actually cheapening the experience. Because one day, if you do decide to be with that person, and you'll look back 40 years from now, how are you gonna tell your grandkids you met in a chat room or on some website? There's no relationship. There's no struggle. There's no take two people, lock them in a room together, and you figure out a way to work together.
But you just next out with love at first sight, and I disagree. Some people I just have a connection with them from the first time speaking to them, and we rock from there.
But that's the beginning stage.
Right, we build upon that. But what I'm saying is, it's not a thought process. It's just I don't even know if it's a common ground. Sometimes it's just like, man, a feeling when I come across this person, and we feel a certain type of way, and we move from there. Not necessarily a physical relationship. It might be me and this guy, like just something that's common ground, and then we build from that. And man, I don't know this guy from anywhere, but from this point on, we good money from here on till we die. You know what I'm saying? I see him somewhere, and he might have a verbal altercation with somebody and be like, "You all right?" You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm good," and I'd be like, "Okay." They catch up with me, catch me at the club somewhere, and I'm in a situation. He'd be like, "You good?" And I'd be like, "Nah, this was going on." And he'd be like, "Oh, well, me and my people," you know what I'm saying? And then we straight from there. You understand? So it's just, I don't know. You're acting out a part of it. Love to me can't be defined. It's got to be something different, because if we did it all from the mind state, there's a lot of people I wouldn't love.
No, I agree.
That's why you have family.
But you're misunderstanding me. I agree with everything you're saying. You're actually corroborating what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because you just talked about meeting this brother, communicating with this brother, and that's a part of a process. I'm not talking about mentally ascending to love. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is you meet someone. When I met my wife, I was in a meeting somewhere, and this beautiful Jamaican girl comes through the room. I'm asking everybody, who is this woman? Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing you just said.
So isn't family the opposite of that?
Well, no, not really. Because
I thought so.
No, because when you
I have junkies in my family, I have smart people in my family, and the same reason I don't treat junkies on the street the same as because I got them in my family, so I understand. I can relate to this guy because I got one.
But you have a bond with your family because you have.
But at the same time, that's why you have a family, and I'm not a single animal. Yeah. Because if I was a single animal, I wouldn't have no love for him regardless. You could come up. He could be my brother, but you know what I'm saying? We're separated.
But the bond,
that's family. How it treats me. What do you mean?
How did they become?
There's nothing more than blood. He doesn't have to be raising me. If I met you, and then you said, and then this lady came in the room and said, "You know that's your brother." You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be like, "Oh, that's my." I might have men that's closer to you, or to me, excuse me, than you. But I'm gonna get to know you, and I'm gonna treat you, and that you're in the circle now. Because we have that same blood. We alike. We alike.
But yeah, I mean I think that all ties into having do we have a foundational idea of what it is? Like even the idea of love. What, how do we conceive love? Like, how do we define it? How is it? Do we process it? Is it the initial feeling? Is that love? Shouldn't that be? Shouldn't I be able to love anybody I meet unconditionally, because that's what the ideology I'm going by. So I love you regardless because, you're my brother, you're my sister, and that's how I look at this entire world. Can we do that in the world that we're in now? But it's, I want to go move to Rocky and Desiree, and ask y'all about loyalty. Like, do you expect if you meet somebody for them to be loyal, or do you expect them to be less than loyal? What's your expectation upon meeting somebody?
Meeting someone, I expect them not to be loyal. And the reason why I say that is because, that's like the everyday thing nowadays. When you meet people, you don't expect them to love you and treat you nice and stuff like that because they don't know you. So why would you be loyal to someone you don't know? It's not a part of our society. Everything is hustle, breeze, get over. It's all about me. It's not about love. Because my definition of love is a choice. It's an ongoing thought process. You can love one day or 20 years, and the next day you don't love no more. It's a choice. It's an ongoing choice to treat someone like you want to be treated. Now, there's different aspects to love. Like you were saying with the kids, you know, if I'm telling my kid, you can't watch TV today, it hurts them. It feels like I hate them. They might say, I hate you. Mm-hmm. But I love them in my form, because that be lucrative for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like they might say, if I really love my kid, I let them watch TV. But my form of love, how I would want someone to raise me, how my father raised me, when they say don't watch TV, you can't watch TV. So that's my form of love. Mm-hmm. And you might say, no, that's not right. You should let the kid watch TV. So it's just, love is a choice, and it's your choice. How you want someone to treat you. Mm-hmm. You treat them the same way. That's your love. Everybody love is different. Everybody love is different. And nobody can't say their love is better than somebody else's love. Or you love is right and my love is wrong. Mm-hmm. There's different methods, different perspectives.
Well, Desiree, your thoughts about, do you expect somebody you meet in life to be loyal and honest? Would that be your expectation?
I haven't been looking in a very long time, so it's almost hard to remember. But I want to say that I try to go into things without expectations, because you don't want to assume that somebody is going to be disloyal from the jump. That's not fair to them or yourself. But you also don't want to give someone too much credit and allow them to maybe hurt you without really understanding the person they are first. So I would say I try to just learn who someone is first before I have any expectations for them, because I don't even know what I want from them in the first place if I'm just meeting them.
Well, how about you, Ronnie? I want to ask you about this, like about the perception of the expectation of loyalty.
Well, in listening to these two 23-year-olds, I'm feeling a little dated, because I feel like I do immediately expect a person to be loyal to me. If I'm being loyal, I think I'm putting out good vibes. I expect that just naturally, like no question. I don't distrust automatically. I just drop everything. If I have made the decision that I'm moving forward in a relationship, then all of the games are dropped on my end, and I'm just naturally expecting it from the other person. Mm-hmm. Have I gotten burned? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, but that's me. So like Rocky said, everybody's love is different.
Is this before you have a conversation with them about where you're going, or is this just in your mind, like what you're expecting from them without them saying it? Because I don't feel like it's fair to expect somebody to behave a certain way if you haven't had that conversation and you're not on the same page.
Well, I mean, when you first meet somebody and you're kind of vibing with them and you hang out a little bit,
that doesn't mean anything. You can vibe with a lot of people and hang out and like each other, but it doesn't mean you need to expect anything from them unless it's communicated.
I think that what we're seeing here, Dr. Bruce, is a picture of love 2K, relationship 2K, versus the 20th century type of love. I was not going to say it like that. Because in younger people's perspective, it's more or less, let me hang out with you. We can just hang out, and I don't expect anything from you. We're just cool. Versus people our age, we're more like, okay, I'm not going to invest any time in you if I don't have an agenda or a goal. Like, I'm not going to give you an hour and a half at Red Lobster if I don't see this going nowhere. And versus even my sons, they're the same way. They're different. They're comfortable relating to anybody at any level, and if it goes somewhere, okay. Whereas people my age and a little bit older, I'm like, hey, what are we talking about? What are we here for?
I totally agree, and I feel like that's what I'm kind of discovering now that I do have like so much time, and there are so many people that are out there, and it's okay to just like, you know, converse with whoever you want or spend time with whoever you want and just learn what you like. And I think that's what I am in the process of doing, learning what I like. So I can't expect anything from somebody when I don't even know really who I am and what I want.
Yeah. I think too, like personally, it's like, it's a break. Well, I think, that's a nice transition, and actually to go to the break. When you come back, I'm going to talk about personally, like what that actually, what my perception was and has been, and is now, how it's changed about, even the idea of trust and how you trust. And we're actually building on what Rock said a second, and his expectations.
All right. And if you'd like to join in on this conversation, dial 646-652-2512. Also, as we enter into the break, we want you to assist the May We Help You Radio Network to raise funds today so that we can continue to grow. Just text the word SHOP, MWHY, to the number 70000 to receive deals on the places that you like to shop for free. You can cancel the service at any time, but the longer you keep the service, the more earning potential you will have. All right, we're going to return right after the break with more relationship talk.
This is Caprice Smith, your uncuffed living expert. I want to take a moment and speak to my women entrepreneurs. If you have your own business card in the name of your business, but you struggle when someone asks what it is you do, that is a problem. If you are not making money that's going to build your legacy and sustain your family, that is a problem. I invite you to hop on over to capricesmith.com, join my free newsletter, and while you're there, schedule your strategy session. I want to help you uncover some things that you should already know. I spent 20 years perfecting my craft, and I'm willing to share all of what I know with you today. If you're not living uncuffed, you're just not living. And if you're cuffed in your business, your clients will know that and they won't invest in you. So let's connect. Until next time, have an awesome day.
Are you frustrated, disappointed, discouraged with your life? Are you angry with God? What's holding you back from fulfilling your purpose? Are you struggling as a leader in ministry? Do you believe you have an end-time calling? If you answered yes to any of these questions, tune in to The Waymakers on MWHY Radio Network every other Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here to support you. Join us to get the answers that will prepare the way of the Lord in your life.
Incarceration doesn't just affect the one behind bars. It affects everyone. Here's your chance to let others know that being locked up leaves others locked down on the outside, hurting emotionally, economically, and spiritually. We want to know how you feel. Go to www.lovelockdownseries.com and make your creative voice heard. lovelockdownseries.com. We are listening.
Okay, and welcome back to Realize with Dr. Bruce and Ronnie, and today it's all about relationships. And our producer, Letitia, has let us know that we have a caller on the line. So we'd like to welcome my dear friend, Bill Pettaway, who has called in to join us. Bill, are you there?
I am here. How are you, Ronnie and Dr. Bruce?
I am great. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. What's your thought about today's relationship?
Beg your pardon, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts about today's relationship?
Well, I think today's relationships are based upon so many false things like how we look, what we wear, who we know, and who's the coolest. You know, they're not on values of what the foundation of a relationship is about: working together, honesty, and trust. And my thought is we're very deceived by the media and television, what a relationship is. You know, we have these dating services and all of this stuff, and I just think that that's not the true essence of a relationship. You know, a relationship is about a bond, a trust, an understanding, and two people working together to better their lives, to build a better community, and to work together so they can leave a legacy of children that continue to carry on building values that we are supposed to have based on the Bible. A lot of things are not based on the Bible. They're based on man. They're based on what people believe it should be by who thinks what of who you with or who you pick, or you pick somebody because how they look. You don't get to know them. Relationships, this is just my opinion, take time and patience a lot of time. And you never really get to know a person fully. That's the reality that I've learned. You learn people through time because, we still learning ourselves. We change a lot as people, and sometimes we're very much like, okay, we want this today because this is it, and then we don't feel it anymore because we really didn't take our time. I think my thinking on relationships is take the time. You have to invest time and to get a person to understand you and you to understand that person. So that way your bond is much stronger, and don't build it off of things based on, what that person looks like or what they have or what they think you may have or what you may do. It's the purpose of why you're going to have this relationship. This relationship, you should have it based on the reason for its true values of love. And love is not always means everything's going to be happy every day, everything's going to be great. Love is understanding. Love is patient. Love is working together through hard times and getting through it. The minute that in relationships, the minute something goes wrong, they're ready to split up because they don't want to put in that work. But, and I'm only speaking from, I watched my parents, at the end of the day, I got to witness why my parents were together. They raised my brothers and sisters, and they spent a lot of time and patience with us. And through that process, at the end, when my dad got sick, my mom was there to care for my dad and take care of him. And that's the bond that I saw about a relationship, because we're all going to get older. We can't look at, okay, we're young now, and this is what it's going to be forever. She's beautiful, he's handsome, this and that. You have to build it more of values from your heart. That's what a relationship is.
Right, yeah.
I totally agree. I'm in agreement with you. And we're going to address that. We're going to give Jerry a chance to address that. Thank you so much for calling in, Bill. We appreciate your support.
I actually agree with Mr. Petaway, I understand. Mm-hmm. I agree with him. He kind of supports what I was saying earlier. But I'm not going to I also understand the younger person's perspective. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I understand it. But relationships take time. And sometimes being younger, until you hurt, you really don't understand the significance of the process. Sometimes you got to fall, bust your knees a little bit. You got to get scraped up a little bit before you can actually understand what a relationship is, what true love is. And so I completely appreciate what he said. I agree with him 100%.
I think, too, that idea of trust. I mean, if you look at some universal terms, and we've been, when we talked about love, we talked about liking, we talked about kind of defining relationships, and this piece being, the tagline is marriage or not. Like, is what we're talking about something that's being viewed as attractive to the younger generation? Everything we're saying, I mean, that what Bill said is great if you see it as a child. He got to see a mother who cared for his father when he was sick and stuff, and what it means. Like, okay, I get it. Like, I would invest in this. This is going to mean something for me. But you take young people who, well, actually, like myself, like I'm just really recently buying into the whole idea, because even as a psychologist, everybody you talk to is not happy. It's like it's hard to find happy couples. Like, so young people looking at it, if you were looking at it as a young person at the world of relationships, it's like, I'd never do that. I wouldn't do that, because adults aren't happy. Adults who are in relationships aren't happy. If you talk to dudes, if you go to the gym, you talk to dudes, They hate them. This in relationships, they're like, oh man, it's like the idea is like, man, it's a vending opportunity, and the sisters, when they get together, the whole wait until exhale movement, man, it became a trend, just getting together to talk about how messed up dudes are. So it's like, and building on, where do you find like that positive peace? Like, I go to my grandparents, like my mother's parents, and they were together forever. It was a spiritual relationship. They had a farm. The boys worked on the farm. The girls, they cooked. Everybody went to church together. That's all they wanted. It's like they didn't want anything else. And I was like, wow, man, like, where I'm at now, like I look at it now, I'm like, a lot of things that I thought were so attractive early on aren't. And the idea, could I trust? I didn't believe anybody, like, right, I wouldn't believe what anybody said ever, because I've seen so much deception. It's like, really, I think it's ulterior motive. Everybody has ulterior motive, so I'm waiting for it. Like, okay, like at some point it's going to come out. It's going to come out, like, okay, what's your angle? And if you get into that, you'll never be duped. And that's the whole thing, I think, especially being in the city, your whole thing is not being kind. Like, and so you're weeding through a process, and probably people will be honest, and you overlook it. And you think that, it's no way, you can't, what's your angle? So you never actually give somebody the opportunity that was honest. And somebody's like telling you the truth, and you didn't believe them because, you're not used to people telling the truth. And I think the young people, that's where they at. They definitely don't believe adults. They tell you, like, well, I don't believe anything. We had this thing about promises, and they're saying, like, a promise, they don't even know what it is. Some of them have been broken that they can't even articulate what a promise means. This is, I don't even make them, but I don't expect anybody to keep them. This is a promise, period, because, we have one of the groups we work with has a tagline, says, I am the promise, which is powerful. So kids wear shirts that say, I am the promise. So the idea is like, do you believe in a promise? Nah. Broken promises. So if you start out with broken promises, what does that mean for you in relationships? Does it make a sense that, if you think that somebody's going to break that promise to you, at some point, if it gets hard, like you said, like when it gets hard and you scrape your knees up, are you going to be there? If you love me, then yeah, you're going to be there. How can you just say, I'm not going to be with you anymore because it ain't going the way I expected it to go? So, I can shift. Like J-Rock was saying, he's like, it ain't going like, look, I got other options. And, brothers a lot of times, like, we have other options, so it's easy for us to be like, hey, look, man, so, when you come around the way I think you should be, then we can talk. Until then, I'll be over here. So
I'm glad you brought that up because, J-Rock, like, you're mid-30s now.
Right.
And have you ever been married?
No.
Okay. But you're toying
on that. I'm edging on that.
Yeah, you're edging on it right now. We've had some conversation off air, so I know a little bit of your history, and I know you've had a full and colorful life.
Right.
But what is it that you need in a woman that's going to pull you to the other side?
Well,
it's going to really make you seriously consider marriage.
I can tell you from when I was younger to now. When I was younger, I had a certain picture in my mind of how my girl should look, or how I wanted her to look in front of my friends. You understand? That's as far as physically and mentally. I didn't want her to look I wanted her to look a certain type of way. I didn't want her to act a certain type of way in front of my friends. And then it got to the point where all that stuff didn't matter. It matters when I'm home with her, our interaction. But that was only from age. When I was younger, those, behind closed doors, it didn't matter as long as outwardly to everybody else was good. That was what was important. And it was only through maturity that I got like, these people don't matter because at the end of the day, they don't lay down with her at night. I do. And as long as we're good at home, and I need a partner. I need somebody that's going to build me up and bring me forward in life and vice versa. I need to be able to pull them forward. I don't need somebody where the whole time she's back here and I'm dragging her the whole way like, come on, y'all, we about to get this money. We about to do X, Y, and Z. I don't need her back there because I'll never make it in this world. You know what I mean? If I'm always pulling back here, there's always going to be somebody up there in this race because it's a race. You know?
And Jerry, you actually took the plunge. You're the only person around here.
See the terminology, plunge.
So, you know, like, do you think, honestly, like, is marriage honestly becoming obsolete?
The way it was supposed to be becoming obsolete. It's becoming a business proposition for many people. It's it's the culture. You take the culture and you take the lack of parenting, the lack of community. You take all those things and throw it in one big pot. And what you get is people who don't have any faith in anything. If I can't touch it, I don't believe it. That's what you have. You have housewives of this state. You have all these different videos of different artists. Everybody's pumping in, hit it, quit it. You know, if you do decide to get married, make sure he or she has this or has that. It's just a melting pot, and it's designed to destroy covenants. It's designed to destroy the fabric and the thing that you know that they call it metal. That thing that you come up with. You know, you ever do something that's really, really hard, you know, and you work so hard, your PhD, when you're working and studying and all those hours you put in for it, and when it's all said and done, you remember those moments because it was the grind. You know, you appreciate it. I was listening to an interview that Kobe Bryant did recently, and he was saying, they asked him, well, you know, you're 36 years old, you had your shoulder worked on, just had your knee worked on, why are you going to come back? You got 5 championships. You know what he told him? He said, I love the journey. It's the journey that makes it right. My grandparents have been married, what was it, 60-something years. They were poor, they had something. They were poor again, they had something. When you see them, they almost look like each other because they have become one. It's the grind, it's the journey, you know. And you got to choose that person that you're willing to go that journey with. And if you're not, personally, then maybe you need to check yourself, because everything can't be easy in life. You can't always go quick route and do a cheat code like Dr. Bruce said. You can't always, you know, stiff arm somebody and say, no, I don't have time for this. You got to be willing to put in the work. Anything that you put work into.
But you know, like J-Rock was saying, as far as characteristics we look for even early on, like, you know, we look for in a relationship. And sometimes you think because of lack of authenticity of the holistic person, you look for physical characteristics. At least you know that. You know, this is there, that's there, that's there. Whether it be real or not, it still gives the illusion like, at least I have that. Without knowing anything else, and that becomes a relationship. You have a relationship with flesh. And which is okay in the beginning for a lot of people, but however, it's very short-lived because the flesh gets old. I don't care, it could be the most beautiful silhouette you thought that you had. There's something that happens that becomes less than, because you see it every day now. If that's it, if it's attractiveness of flesh, then it's the next piece of flesh, and then the next piece of flesh, and that goes on, and it never stops. Whereas the inner person, who is somebody, like, you really get to know, like, you know, our energy connects. We're on a grind together. We doing life together, for real. We doing it. Like the hard times, the good times, you know, if it's a vacation that happens, we doing it together. It's not like I'm going out to Brazil with my boys and you know, calling it something else, and she's going to girls' weekend in Jamaica and calling it something else, and you know, then you come back and we're together again. But you know, so it's like, you know, how we experience life together is that attractive now.
Well, we're gonna take another call. We have your good brother Lee is on the line, so we're going to take a call from Lee and keep the discussion going. So, hello, Lee. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's happening? Family? Dr. Bruce, Ronnie. Great show, man. I'm enjoying everything I'm in.
Great.
I just wanted to comment. based on going through, 3 relationships. I got one on the rocks now, and I'm, I've gone through it all, and what I've noticed, and what I've found out to be true is that when you go into a relationship, there's a blueprint that's already set, but a lot of us have gotten away from it, and like a lot of the panel said, we more into where the world dictates a marriage and all these different criteria that you go by, the prenups and all this other stuff before you can really let yourself go. But in the simplicity of it, if two people come together and they have selflessness as a basis, where if you go in your relationship and you wake up each day, what can I do to make my wife happy? And she wakes up, what can I do to make my husband happy? And instead of worrying about what you're getting out of a relationship, what can you put into it? And if both people are equally yoked in that manner, then you could probably be successful. But if you go into a marriage with the expectations of what I'm going to get out of it, or what I expect my wife to do, or what I expect my husband to do, you're going to always run into conflict and trouble because we're not perfect. Nobody's going to be able to do everything somebody wants them to do. But if you go into it with what can I do to make it better each day, and that's kind of what the old school was like. They went through troubles, but at the end of the day, man, they tried to follow that blueprint that we had through the scriptures about how to have a successful marriage, which is all right there if you dig into it and get into what it really is all about. And that's what I'm trying to do now, just to get into what really makes a marriage work rather than how easy it is for it to fail. And that's my comment, Hannah.
Wow, man, really appreciate that. Really, and we're gonna get to that too. Like, to actually reinforce that those expectations are set and how we fulfill each other's expectations in a positive way, where we're being blessings to each other. So definitely appreciate that.
And now we have Alexis on the line. So, Alexis, what is your comment?
I really liked what Rocky said earlier, that love is a choice. I agree, because growing up, relationships are an illusion. When you're in middle school, high school, and college, you deal with a lot of different personalities and mindsets, and it's what you do with it to make it a reality. Like everyone is saying, it's what you get out of it, and the expectation. I feel that, what are the goals that you have with this person, and it starts with yourself. Do you love yourself enough to have somebody worth being with you, or building or growing as a person? As human beings, we're supposed to be growing as people, so we can advance ourselves. Not just with jobs or family, friends, but with love, starting with yourself and the universe. So, that's where it starts off with when you be with people. Growing up, my family, my parents, they got separated, but they were still, interacting with each other. It wasn't really like hate, and, my parents still take care of us. So it's like, however the situation turns out, in the end, there's still got to be like this give or take situation. It's whoever you're dealing with, even if it's friends or someone you just meet, sometimes you just have that initial reaction like, okay, I got love for you. I have this feeling of liking you. It grows depending on how you interact with these people day to day.
Well, Alexis, one question. Like, at what point do you allow yourself to enter into that choice or making that choice to love? What has to happen for you to go to that level?
Experience. When, like I'm saying, like when you have experiences with people, you have that very first boyfriend, the very first kiss, the first time you lose virginity. It's like certain experiences that you deal with people. It makes you grow into a person, and yes, you will get hurt. That's the whole learning experience and loving experience. You go through things. A lot of different things that make you who you are to this day. And today, I may not feel that way. Love may not be a choice for me tomorrow, but at that moment, and in this moment, that's how it is, and that's how you feel. To get to that point, like I said, it's experience, and it's also what you're doing with that choice of the experience. You know, you could be in a relationship and, yeah, you could see different guys, girls, whatever, but what are you doing in that situation to be like, oh, I'm not going to cheat, I'm not going to, you know, mess around. You know, I got to do other things to make sure I'm not screwing around or messing up, like things like that. It's experience and really getting to know people and thinking to yourself, who's going to bring something to my table? Who's going to make sure that, one, I'm okay, I'm not in any harm, and I feel loved. You know, giving love, sharing love, making love, that's the purpose of it. Love is a choice. It's a reaction.
Okay, thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in.
I'm gonna ask Rocky. I want you to, actually both Rocky and Desiree, to respond to the aspect is being hurt enough of a deterrent for you not to enter into this plane? Like, or do you think that and that has to be you specifically, but from what you see, is being hurt or seeing hurt enough for you not to enter into an idea of having an expectation that this time it may be okay?
Ask that question again.
Like the wounds that come from being hurt, is it enough if it hasn't even healed or from previous relationships? Is it enough, or from what is being seen? Is that enough to prevent you from entering into your holistic self and loving, and with the expectation of maybe this may even be marriage? Is it the wounds that are preventing the idea of that?
Man, it's not the scars, from people's past and relationships that prevent them from, getting to the next level, moving into marriage or even dating, because they haven't forgiven their past, siblings or people they had relationships with, or what they done to them, or how they hurt them, or how they may have hurt the other person. They may have not forgive themselves. But I feel like that does slow you down and getting to the next level as far as relationships, either in any kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm. Because I think from hearing Lexa, it's almost like that would be, if it was marriage or not, I could see Lexa saying, yeah, like I look forward to the idea of that from
through the struggle,
from being there, either whether I get hurt or I don't get hurt. I expect it's my choice to love. I'm gonna choose to love. I'm asking you, Desiree, like, what's it?
Okay, I agree. It is a choice. I think being hurt or seeing things from your childhood and whatnot can definitely be a deterrent, like a speed bump in the road where you want to get. But I think once you heal and let things go, then, at least in my case, I don't think my experience in the past getting hurt will prevent me from getting married. Other things may, but I don't think it will be that.
Mm-hmm. We've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to we're going to move to the media piece of this too, because I know both of y'all be connected to the media, being artists, and that's one of your big pieces is the media. But what the media is projecting to the entire population, is that having an influence on the young people's perception of what this is, like what marriage, especially marriage? Because you look at TV, everybody's cheating. Like almost every show, it's always it's these indiscretions. It's hard to see a happy, successful, faithful relationship on TV or through these songs.
Okay, great. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what is marriage. Since its beginning and its first event in 2011, the Pink event has showcased and supported women-owned businesses and women-focused charities. Join the Diamond Event Services for the Ultimate Women's Day Out, an annual women's-focused expo, Sunday, March the 8th, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the BWI Airport Marriott, 1743 West Nursery Road in Linthicum, Maryland. 21090. For tickets and additional information on the Pink event, visit www.thepinkevent.net. We're coming right back after the break. Stay tuned.
To all of my female entrepreneurs, it's time to expand your region and business profits. Are you networking in the same locale and viewing the same guest list over and over? Do you find your colleagues are referring new business and its clients that you already have in your portfolio? Are you industry stagnant? And are your social groups and events filled with the same people? If you answer yes to just one of these questions, it's time to expand internationally. You are cordially invited to petition for attendance to an all-female, exclusive, and private event featuring the power of 52 women, the East Coast International Business Symposium, hosted by rockstar entrepreneur and international business consultant Erica A. Murray and multimedia distributor and expert Letitia M., and moderator Ms. Joan Henry of the Women's Entrepreneur Expo, beginning February 28, 2015 in Baltimore, Maryland, March 28th in New York, April 18th in Washington, D.C., May the 23rd in Atlanta, Georgia, June the 20th in Boston, Massachusetts, and September, Africa. If you are serious about your business, don't miss this event. Go to www.thepowerof52women.com for more information. Once again, go to www.thepowerof52women.com and register today. This is an event you don't want to miss.
Hi, this is Benita with Off the Vine. Join us on Fridays at 3 o'clock for fun talk about wine. This season, I'm going to put this little sommelier certification to work as we expand the conversation to talk about beer and spirits too. Meet more exciting special guests, and you never know just who may show up at the studio. Off the Vine with Benita on the May We Help You Radio Network, giving you something to whine about.
If you're the parent of a child with behavioral challenges that has been suspended, expelled, or just not able to make it in a traditional school setting, there is an alternative. Call the Metropolitan Day School today. Licensed and accredited grades K through 12. Call 804-321-2595. Financial assistance and after-school programs are available. Let's turn this school year around right now at the Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar. Call Ms. Thomas today. 804-321-2595.
Okay, and we're back in the final hour of Realize with Dr. Bruce and Ronnie. In our studio, we have Desiree, Jerry, J-Rock, and Rocky. We're so happy to have you guys because one of the things that we were talking about off air is marriage, of course, but the ways that social media has influenced relationships and marriages, and I want to tap into that just a little bit. I mean, you have Twitter and you have Instagram and Facebook in particular. Do you think that's actually influencing the way people are looking at relationships? And Desiree, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, it's hard to say whether the media is reflective of society or whether society is reflective of media. Probably a bit of both. Social media definitely makes communication easier, and people like to act like they're doing a lot of things on social media that they might not actually be doing, but it influences other people to think that that's what everybody's doing. So I do think that it makes people want to I don't want to say cheat, but it makes people want to explore their options more when they see it. Like you can look at, a list of girls on Instagram and DM them, opposed to back in the day, it was just who was ever at your college or high school or whatever. Mm-hmm. Your options are expanded.
Wow. How do you feel about that, J-Rock?
I'll just say Real Housewives of Atlanta, Love and Hip Hop L.A., Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. It's ruining us. Us as a community of black people. It's ruining us. It's the worst thing ever. I think the producer Mona Scott. Well, I don't want to say what I think about her, but I just think what's expected of us, if it's coming from these shows, is horrible.
I mean, but now we've even got Empire.
Right.
Everybody's like tuned into that, and I don't want to single out any particular shows, but Rocky, you were talking earlier about being engaged, and I'm thinking you're 23 years old, and if I was your mother, I would spank you if you came home and said that you were engaged. I think that's so young. What made you think at that point in time that you were actually ready to take on a marriage, a wife, and start your own family?
I mean, it would have to be my lifestyle and the previous experiences I had. I was always ahead of the youth, ahead of my kids, because that's what my father, mainly my father, but my mother too, prepared me for to be on a higher level. Like, they got married when they were 25. My father was 20, and I think my mother was 17. They had a house before they friends. So it's like it's a generational thing. I was taught to, be on a higher level. It doesn't really matter what's your age and stuff like that. So I felt that I had been through so much that I found out what was the core of marriage, the core of a relationship. And it's that what you see on TV, the Prince Charming, it's not all of that. It's the stuff you don't see. It's the blood, sweat, and tears. It's the hurt, the forgiving, the love. That's what love is. It's forgiving. And once I seen that, that's what it was. And that's how, because I always used to ask people, they've been married like over 20 years, how you do it? Because it's amazing to me. They all say just for the same thing in different ways. I love her. When he do his thing, I do my thing. Mm-hmm. And once I seen that aspect and I experienced it, really loving someone, I really didn't know what love was, because people say I love you and stuff like that, but they really don't. Love is a choice you have to show. You can't say you love her. You can't describe your love in words. It's only action. Like, I say I love my parents. Like, I just started saying it because I really didn't love my parents, and they really never told me they loved me. But I know they love me because they're the first one to come see me when I'm locked up. They're the one that put all the money up. They're the one that sent me to these schools, the one that invested money in my boxing. Like, they're the one that provided a house for me and that. So they don't have to say they love me. I know they love me. It means nothing to them saying it and not showing me they love me. But since they showed me, I understand that I didn't really love my parents because I never showed them I love them. I showed the opposite. So when I went through a relationship with my fiance and I really showed her that I loved her, I forgave her for things, she forgave me for things. I did things I would never do for a girl or any human being, and she did the same. So once I found that out, I was like, well, this is what love is. This is what marriage is. It's compromising. It's making a choice to keep going forward and to not, walk away. It's like a life-binding agreement, an oath to take that's forever. And even biblical terms, it says that, verse says, Moses gave you the law that if, your significant other cheats or commits adultery, that you give them a certificate of divorce. But Jesus said from the first day it was not so. He made that. He made that law for y'all because people not really capable of keeping that word and making promises and keeping that oath. So they gave you a little cheat code. You can get divorced if you commit adultery. But God said no. Even in the Quran and lots of religions. Once you get married, it's forever. God encourages you to work it out. And that's what marriage is about. It's about working it out. It's about love, because if you love your kid, no matter what your kid does, you're never going to leave your kid because you love your kid. So if you love your wife, no matter what happens, why would you leave your wife if you don't love her?
That's a deep piece. I think but the first piece is that you like Ronnie, you said, when you say you're 23, and if Chuck and you said 23 and said to get married, you'd spank him because like that's too early. And so, I mean, that almost goes into the whole marriage of law, because the idea that he should be exploring his options at 23, at what point does that stop? And because you think about like a chronological age piece, we're talking about chronological age, and at 23, really you would think that a formal relationship will probably start around 18 or 19. Formally, you start really being serious about dating. So you would meet somebody, and if somebody came to you at 23 and said, I found her, and you would say immediately, no, you need to go back out there and not do it. So I want to ask you, like, what's your idea of it? Is it do you think it's something for, at what point do you think, 30, is 30 a good point, 35? Like, at what point should somebody start looking to marry?
Well, each one of my children will tell you that they will be in a prearranged marriage by me. I'm picking their partner because
is that what we're gonna?
Yeah, that's true, because they know. Like, I am so afraid to let them go. I don't know. It's like I feel like I will make the best choice for them, and it frightens me. It really frightens me that at that age, that even though you're considered to be legal in men and women, I just don't think that at 23 you have enough life experience. I think on one hand, you've had a lot of options, way more options and way more freedoms than I did coming up. My parents were married at a very early age, too. My mother was married when she was 20. Now if a 20-year-old came to me and said she wanted to marry, I would say, what are you thinking? Like, it's too young. Go out, see the world, establish yourself, find your place, find yourself. I don't think those options were available in the 50s and 60s as much with women. Women weren't so into careers and that sort of thing. It was more, I guess you would say, old-fashioned, where women stayed at home, raised the children, cooked the dinners, kept the house, and things like that. And I don't know. I think a good age, and I know we talk about chronological age a lot, I think like a good age for a male to consider marriage is around 28, 29 to actually start to think about it. And for a female, I would say like 25 and older, possibly. Of course, everybody's different. I understand we all mature differently, but if I had to attach an age to it, that's what I would say.
Like what we say about chronological age, well, my view is that it's the worst criteria to almost measure anything, sometimes even death. And the whole reason for it, like you have a life expectancy, so chronological age, pretty much when you can expect to die. Outside of that, as far as we have so many individual differences as people that you can't really just look at age and say that means something because somebody at 23, like Rocky at 23 may have more maturity than 40-year-olds. And it's no way to know like who the person is. And if it's something that's positive, like if we're looking at it as adults, as marriage, as something that's really positive, that's really strong, it's the best thing that could ever happen to somebody is to find love and be together, then why would we say have more fun first? Like, have better experiences first because go have your fun. But when you do that, it's not gonna be more fun too. But I guess how do y'all feel about that? What's your thoughts about it? Like, do you lose the ability to have fun? Like at that point, are you giving that part of you up?
I mean, we go back to the media, which I think we're kind of going into. But I mean, we're conditioned to believe fun means I do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. That's not fun. That's undisciplined. Mm-hmm. It takes discipline to love somebody unconditionally for the rest of your life. That's what it takes. The society is filling us with all these images, and I don't want to go off topic. I think we'll eventually get to the whole media piece. But the bottom line is that our young people are being infused with television, music. Everything is going against everything your mother and father is displaying before you every single day. People don't think their parents love them, but your parents love you. They're showing you love. They're showing you commitment. But how can you appreciate that commitment if the music you listen to, if what you watch on television, if the relationships you have outside the home, you take in more of that than what's right before you? Back in the old days when people of color didn't have any money, didn't have social media, didn't have education, all you had was, I look forward to marrying good old Isabel down there from the Carter family. And they worked together. They went to school together. They did whatever they had to do to become one. We've lost that.
Also, they had sex before you're supposed to be married. I mean, it was taboo to do it. But now it's like you don't have to wait for marriage. You're lame if you're waiting for marriage to actually have sex. So that was something that you would get like we get married now. We get to experience that. People experience that beforehand. But what question would you? I'm gonna ask both of y'all. Like, would y'all like tell Rock? Say Rock coming to y'all's uncles, and he's saying, "Look, man, I'm getting ready to get married." Would you tell him like, man, before you get married, going down to Rio, go to a couple parties, man, get naked for a second, and then come back and go ahead and have some experiences like that beforehand. Would that be your recommendation to him?
Who you at?
Both of y'all. Yeah, you say something.
Hey, man, I mean, have as much fun as you can. I don't know what to say. I mean, like you said, what is your definition of a good time or fun? But mine is, hey, man, have fun. But at some point you got to be mature about it. And you got to do what's necessary to build and move forward. If we're talking about obtaining wealth, maintaining wealth, and passing it on, that's different than fun. Right? When I want to have fun, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about cutting loose, having a good time, right? That's what fun is. We're not thinking about grown-up responsibilities when we're having fun. So I would say go to Rio, have fun, but when you come back, get ready for what comes with what you signed up for, right?
Okay, so definitely Brazil before marriage.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what you want to do.
I'm not saying though, like, as a
uncle. Yeah, I would say make sure this is what you want to do before you do it. And if it takes Brazil to get you to that point, maybe when you come back from Brazil, that's not what you want to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if that's what it takes, do that. I'm not saying do that. It's gonna cost a lot of money. Yeah. You might want to save that money for when you get married. I don't know. I don't know what your pockets is like. I'm not climbing. But each his own. But
so once you get married, can you still have fun?
Depends.
Can you and your wife go to Brazil?
It depends on what y'all gonna do in Brazil. I guess. Yeah. But your partner should be, your significant other should be someone that you have fun with. You know what I mean? And that's the essence of it. It shouldn't be somebody with, oh man, now I can't go to Brazil. No, you should be able to bring her with you. If you can't, you shouldn't be with that person. And I think that's the element that's missing in a lot of relationships. You're doing it for whatever other reason other than that's the best person for you and the person that makes you, like you said, one.
Brazil before marriage.
No, Dr. Bruce, I think
no.
let me just be straight. And every older man who's been through some things will probably, they may not admit it publicly, but inside you'll be what I'm saying. The more lascivious, fun, and outrageous stuff you do, the lesser you want to commit to something serious.
Wasn't it fun though, Jerry?
Listen to what I'm saying. It was fun, but the more you do, the more think about it. There's no inhibitors. Let me just have at it. The more you do it, don't forget the psychological part of it. Those endorphins, that dopamine, all that stuff that kicks in, your body craves it, and the more you do it, the less likely you are to commit to a woman. And any man who goes to a strip club will admit that if you pull him in the corner and say, hey, bro, how many times you go to a strip club? Well, I go like twice a week. You think you want to marry
Mostly married men in strip clubs.
And because they can't let go. Either they're lacking something at home, or
maybe
they
their
can't let
belief.
go. Either way, the way marriage was designed. Again, we get to that.
So you get married, you don't go to the strip club?
What for?
Cut fun out?
How is that? How is that? The point I'm trying to make is that the more stuff you do out there, the harder it is for you to commit, because we are pathological creatures. We keep on doing stuff. We develop an identity. It becomes who we are. It becomes what we do. And all of a sudden you think you're going to push a button and, I'm in love. Oh, please. You're fooling yourself. Because the moment she doesn't do what you expect her to do, that brain of yours that's been trained is going to go back to Brazil. And if you can't go physically, you'll go there mentally.
But isn't love sacrifice, too? There's a lot of things that I would want to do that because I love my girl, I won't do. Isn't it also sacrifice?
I agree.
There's a lot of things that I know that I like that she would not like for me to do, so I don't do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. I know, hey, I love her and it's going to make her feel a type of way, and I don't want her to look bad or feel a type of way, right? So I don't do it. Not that I have a problem with it. She has a problem with it. So, I mean, in that sense, it's got to be, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice, and it's a mutual respect and understanding of another person at the same time, right?
I think it really taps. I mean, this piece really taps into the marriage of non-peace, because, like, if you think about it, like, if what you're saying is correct, Derek, that the more you experience kind of corruption, the more less likely you are to commit. If you look at a group, a whole population of young people who are experiencing this, it will make sense that they're less likely to get married because they're having more fun doing this. And if I can do it without marriage, what would be the reason for marriage? Unless I was mature enough to think about what J. Rock was talking about as far as the finance. Look, man, let's go and we need to build a dynasty at that point. But you got to have some infusion of some leadership that you buy into to accept that. Like, if I'm at the strip club, really every week, I know brothers, that's all they do, man. Then I couldn't even see him in the capacity of that. From 60 to 15, at the age group, I can't even see him in the capacity of being serious in a relationship. So,
but let me ask you, because you talk about brothers that are still in the strip club. To me, that says that they're lacking commitment. Mm-hmm. That's what it means. If they're in a relationship, it means that they're not committed, because what is the need to be in a relationship and to go to a strip club? Like that, you have to narrow it down. Stay at home or stay in the street. I don't think you can have it both ways while you're in a relationship. And as for you, in talking about marriage, you've gone a long time without being married. Mm-hmm. And you would be a person that, at least from my vantage point, I would say that you would make a good catch. Mm-hmm. You never bought into the idea of marriage, so I'm sure it presented itself, but you told me you didn't do relationships. You never bought into the idea of being in a relationship. All the guys here in the studio, ladies, are laughing at that. I don't know why, but what does that mean? How can you not do relationships?
It never really made sense to me, and it didn't make sense because I really didn't. In my time, through my lens, I didn't see where two people together that were actually, it was really working, where they were happy. And I was like, really, I felt that I've always been really mission oriented. So it's like if you're in the grind with me, and that's what I really didn't have. I had females that would attest to being in the grind. Oh yeah, I'm with it. But when it came time to really be in the grind, they weren't there, and that was the most important thing to me. I went through the point of young, 13, 14, 15, where it was physical. And we're on up later. Like, I had a physical silhouette that I looked at, like, it was that first. But it was fluffy past that. So that piece, like, it didn't mean anything later on. It wasn't going anywhere. When I found out something's not going nowhere, I'm like, it's not going nowhere. Like, there's no way, because you're not in the grind with me, I can't share important things that could mean life or death, maybe. Like, whether you really, I know I can trust you with everything. I don't know that. Then, really, like, at what point can we go further? So I kind of looked past it. I'm like, really, if it happened, it happened, but it's not something that I look forward to before. Like, I didn't really look forward to it. I was like, I just don't do it. And I would tell females all the time, I don't do relationships. I don't do it. Like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. So, and I actually had a pretty good time in life not doing it. Like, really, like,
But how?
I got to go to Brazil.
Like, how?
I'm
sure Dr. Bruce is not the only man at this table who has told a female that, hey, let's kick it around, let's see, where it goes. She ends up thinking she's in a relationship, but you're thinking something else. Has that happened to any of you guys?
I mean,
that you'll admit?
As far as when I was younger, I'm the dude, as far as everybody I know, I know people around the world, I'm the dude that's like the Magic Johnson. I hate to say it, but at least I'm here and I ain't got it, but I'm the Magic Johnson out of the crew everywhere I go. Now,
about it, explain, because all these might not know what you mean, but,
basically, I'm the dude that can get every girl and do it well, easily, just naturally. And I've been like that for a long time until I was like 16. Well, no, it continued, but when it struck me that that's not really what I wanted, was when I was 16. I met my first love. I thought, because I said my parents was great parents, but they didn't give me that physical type of love. They gave me financial love and stuff like that. But when I met my first love and she gave me that physical type of love that I couldn't get from my parents, I said, well, no point in having 10 girlfriends no more. I just had one girlfriend. And I just had one girlfriend. And she gave me everything I needed. But once she stopped being that, the problem was her friends. She started showing more, being more affectionate to her friends than me. Then it became a problem. Now, that's when I understand what you say, you come home, you're 20, you want to get married. So I didn't really think about marriage. I didn't know the word at that time, but I was like, I won't be with you forever. And we just talked the other day, and we just laughed about it, and we still cool, but.
So you said you didn't even know the word.
I didn't know the word. I didn't even know the word. I had 10 girlfriends when I met her. 10. Like, I had a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I had like
Friday,
3 Sundays. I had 3 Sundays. I'm telling you, I can call my cousin right now. But I didn't understand. I didn't know it because my father never, taught me about relationships and stuff. But he never told me about sex and none of that. I never knew nothing but from my friends and TV and, that was distorted. But once I understood that I can just one thing out of one person, and I said, oh, I don't need everybody else. I can just bond with that one person. But the problem was I didn't understand that marriage, is the same as love. And love is, a choice. And I had to choose to love her and continue to love her even though she wasn't living up to the expectation I had.
That's a great transition piece. I mean, and that's, I think we're going to, the last segment, we're gonna go into that piece, like really the love in marriage and how do we define it and what's the solution, and how we articulate it for the future generations like going on.
Okay, it's that time again for the 5th annual Let's Get Serious Health, Wellness, and Fitness Expo. Those of you who have attended this expo before can attest to the fact that this event is nothing but pure family fun. So come out again this year. Last year, Sheree Cofield International hosted over 1,000 attendees. The goal this year is at least 1,300 registered attendees. Visit letsgetserious.eventbrite.com to register for this free event. Sponsorship and vendor opportunities are still available. Stay tuned.
This message is from the desk of Tamika Melton, the teen self-esteem strategist and the founder of Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated, commonly known as RAY. Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated is a mentoring and leadership organization serving youth 8 to 18 from diverse backgrounds with an urgent focus on middle school and high school girls. Our foundation is built on integrity, purpose, perseverance, and love. We teach youth to live life rising above expectations through self-esteem building, healthy relationship education, self-harm prevention education, and anti-bullying prevention and intervention services. In order to continue our mission, we need your help. Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated is searching for sponsors, volunteers, and partnerships to build stronger communities through the youth and families we serve. Please contact us directly at 202-421-1945 or email us at info@raeyouth.org. And please take a moment to visit our website at www.risingaboveexpectations.org. And in the meantime, I'll ask you to live life rising above expectations.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is happy to announce our partnership with the May We Help You Radio Network. You can now catch the rebroadcast of our Wednesday show every Thursday at 6 p.m. That's Tanya Free and Friends, the podcast, every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We welcome your comments and opinions 24/7 at TanyaFree.com, Facebook and Twitter, or send me a text by texting the word Tanya, that's 72727. Tanya Free and Friends, and May We Help You Radio. Living life with a purpose.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our hosts here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our hosts and upcoming contests and our TV programming that'll be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and youth.
Okay, and we're back with the last segment of Realize with Dr. Bruce and Ronnie. It's all about relationships tonight. We're talking about relationship choices for the future generations. And Dr. Bruce, you were talking about, like, what is marriage and what are relationships going to look like for our future generations based on younger generations that you work with?
Well, I mean, it's just like we kind of set the premise. The adult population sets the premise and as to what this is looking like. And the younger generations are looking at it and they're choosing whether or not to buy in. And I'd like to actually continue the conversation. One, I want to bring in the influence that the media has has had on our perception of relationships. And if that is something that we need to consider, like how our minds are being shaped, is it really programming, like the program that we're tuning into? Has it become the program that we're actually living out? one thing I think Desiree, you said something earlier. It was kind of on the lines of does life imitate art, art imitate life? It was on that kind of premise, and it's like almost now is this life imitating an illusion of art that's not even real? I want to Jerry. I want to talk to the media aspect, the influence of the media. What does that mean to you?
Well, Dr. Bruce, I think that we first got to realize what is media. Of course, the word medium. We get where we get the root word is media. A medium is anybody who knows any esoteric or esoteric information. They understand that a medium is a go-between between different worlds or different from spiritual to natural, whatever. And what we have to understand is when something is a medium or in between, it is actually sending messages to you from somewhere else. Okay? So when we take these things in, when we take these ideals, for example, Hitler understood long before he took over and started doing this other wicked stuff, it was propaganda. He was feeding the people with leaflets and things on television. He was preparing the people mentally before he took them physically. This is what's happening to us, young people all over the world. They're being filled by a medium that this is the way something is. This is the way something is. This is the way you should think. The way you're not, it's conditioning them, just like Hitler did, just like many propaganda type things we see in our country today and other countries. And what we don't understand is specifically with the news and social media. The news and the esoteric meaning of news is north, east, west, and south. That's the word news, which means you have frequencies, information, ideas, and complex thought patterns that are coming into a person from all over the world. So if you notice, if you look at the decline or the incline of television, the more TV we get, the lesser we are to relate normally. Because what's happening is television takes over a spot in their mind, in their brain, and all of a sudden we become what we see. So if Nicki Minaj, for example, is wearing this, you may not want to do it, but over time, slowly but surely, you become what you see. And so our young people are being infused with, if your body don't look like this, you're not attractive. If for example, 50 Shades of Grey, that's basically legalized rape. Yeah. It's on national television, and it's selling because the airwaves, the media is pumping all this stuff. Even we go back to the Mike Brown and all that other stuff. The narrative is created by the things you cannot see. It's the pattern, the brainwaves, all that stuff. So when you're dealing with social media, it's social because it's everybody coming in as a collective mass, receiving an idea, a thought pattern, and my goal is, if I'm giving it to you, I want you to think a certain way. If we can teach them that this is what is going on, guess what will happen? They'll fight it, they'll cut that garbage off, put their head in a book or something, and start looking at the real stuff in the world. Because until we deal with that, it's going to keep happening.
Well, now I'm going to ask both J-Rock first and then Rock. Y'all are performers and artists, and you have to craft material that people will identify with and that one that you feel and it will move them. What's your thoughts about how your material and what you put out influences the masses that are listening, participating?
Well, for me, I mean, I started off not so conscientious about how it affected others, and to a degree, I'm still selfish with that. I do it for me, and then I do it for those directly connected to me, outside of me. If they like it, if I like it, then they like it. I'm good with it, especially if I'm good with it. However it comes across. But then later on, it's become more of what do I want out there in the atmosphere for other people to see. You know what I mean? What do I want for somebody in Idaho to see from a black person from this area? Because a lot of times we're judged individually. We're judged for a whole race as opposed to, and that's because we're so small in the media. You know what I mean? There's a big conglomerate that is the media, but we're a very small percentage of that. Mm-hmm. So one thing I say do affects my entire race, whereas they can have a 50 Shades of Grey, they can have a Terminator, they can have all of that because there's so many different platforms of it. But name three big directors that are black. Mm-hmm. Who do we still look to? Spike Lee, and he was from the 80s. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Who do we look to? John Singleton, we have a couple. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To whereas we can name 50 of them from another race. You know what I mean? So I mean, I've been more conscious of that later in life. But as when I'm younger, I mean, I do it for me and I do it for those directly around me, and everybody else makes me no different. And it's just now that I'm coming to this realization, like, hey, man, when other people are listening and looking at this stuff outside of that, and it makes a difference, that's when I had to be like, wait a minute, let me pump my brakes. Let me not, certain things that I might want to say, I hold up on because it affects not just me. Even if just one or two people takes that and runs with it, what have I done? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that, it's I don't know, it's bigger than me. Once I put it out there for everybody, it's no longer mine anymore. It's everybody's. I don't own it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before Rocky answers, I have another question for you, J-Rock, because you were saying you felt that you were being selfish with the music that you were putting out and the messages that you were putting out, and you knew that.
Right.
And it was okay with you.
Right.
But you have a daughter.
Now, yeah.
You have a daughter. Did that change your point of view?
To a large extent, it did. It changed my whole outlook on life. You know what I mean? When I had another person, another life that I had to take care of and was responsible for, because before that, it was just my mother. You know what I mean? And I really didn't have to take care of her. She was taking care of me. So, no, regardless of what I did, you know, but now I have another person that I'm responsible for, and I have to provide for, and I have to make proper decisions. You know what I mean? I can't be selfish anymore because do I want my daughter listening to the things that I'm making? You know, do I want her to come up how the way I was coming up and the things that I was doing? No, I don't. Honestly, I a lot of the music that I make to this day I wouldn't want her to listen to. You know what I mean? And that's why I had to be a little more politically correct, a little more socially conscious, I would say.
Yeah. And I know you give it like one, like especially the young hip hop groups. Just for example, like we have one group who call themselves the Slutty Boys, and that's the name, but the Slutty Boys, and they're big in this area, and in talking to them and asking them why, like I was like, because I try to get them to change their name to Strictly Business or anything else, because I mean, there's some good young brothers. I'm like, I can't even take y'all to any schools. When I say Slutty Boys, like people are like, oh no, like you're not coming in here. But I asked them why. They said that the reason that they named themselves the Slutty Boys is because they were conceived that way, and it was from slutty relationships and everything they see that adults do from the club, everything else is slutty. It's like, so they keeping it real. I was like, wow. Like, I mean, it's like, in talking to them about it, I said, you really have a valid reason, because it's like even their fathers, they came in and for that reason, and were not there for any other reason but for a slutty interaction. So that's why they say they're the Slutty Boys. But the idea of even middle school girls knowing all the lyrics from all their songs, and the idea of being slutted out as a positive. To be slutted out by, a slutty boy, and it's a slutty boy movement kind of piece. And it's kind of, it's dangerous because we actually did a play called Little Red Riding in the Hood to make Do Baby the wolf. So middle school girls will understand that's the wolf, and you might think it's grandma, and they actually morphed into it. You say, well, I got to be the wolf. They need to know. So, Rocky, like, if you know all of them, and you went from King Floss to Pastor Rock, even in your own terminology of who you are, the identity you claim, and like, so what's your feeling like, and tie relationships into it, and what you pass on the legacy of positive relationships to a future generation?
I mean, in the media aspect and the music aspect, as far as me like changing my image and changing my name, it started out because of my fiance. I wasn't really conscious of what I was doing. You know, I was portraying myself as this person and trying to construct an image, but my music wasn't matching. You know, because I was, like J-Rock said, I was stuck on, you know, what I wanted to do and the message that I was trying to get across, the story I was trying to tell. I was trying to tell my story from where I came from and how I transitioned, you know, to where I'm at now. But, you know, I got to tell part one of the story, and I got to tell part two of the story. So part one is the slutty boy ass thing. I had to tell that. But since I was an engaged man and a God-fearing man, I wasn't living that life. That was the past. But because I was trying to tell my story, it looked like I was contradicting myself. So she helped me realize that I need to change that. I need to be living for now. And I need to, you know, dish out to the media and to my fans, you know, what I want them to do and show them how I'm living right now. And then one day I heard my little sisters, you know, I didn't know they had Instagrams and stuff. All three of my little sisters got Instagrams, and they actually be on my page, and it was like singing one of my songs. It was not something you should sing. And I was really hurt because when I see other kids do it, I was like, yeah, they're not my kids. I feel sorry for them. But they're my kids. For my little sisters, they all go to private schools and they're scholars, and I heard them singing it. I was hurt. So I started changing everything up. I started changing the whole image because I felt like that I was really affecting other people around me in a negative way when I'm trying to, you know, relate to them and give them what they want, but then give them the next piece of how it gets better. So I had to change. Because it was wrong. I was promoting the wrong things, and I was contributing to, you know, the love and hip hop, you know, the Beyoncé's, and all the wrong people. So now I had to change that up and make it more positive. So now I'm contributing that back. Basically, I'm recycling the negative energy that media is putting out as far as the rap game and anything I do, as far as boxing or anything. And recycling it and transforming it into positive energy. And then when you see me as a person who I used to be and where I come from, a lot of people know me, and they see that I transform into this different character and I really live this life now, and I really speak this, it gives them hope. Like, I know people have hope because of the Wale's and the Slutty Boys that do things just in D.C. As far as like the entertainment business, it's hard to make it until you go somewhere else. But just to see someone that you know you went to school with, you know, doing something better with their life, it makes them a role model to the kids. But that's not, when we say Slutty Boys is a good role model, like that's not the role model you want. So I want to be that person, not for me, not for my family, but so I can help other youth and other people. I want to be that positive role model. They came from the negativity and transformed itself. And now you want to be like me or better because I don't want to contribute to everything else that's going on right now.
Well, that's an excellent point. And that's something we want everybody to understand, like, you know, really it's the idea of it and what's reinforced. Because, like, as a young man, if you reinforce King Floss and the girls are screaming for King Floss and people clapping and the older brother, yeah, get yours, man. Like, at what point does King Floss make that transformation to Pastor Rock? Like, at what point does that happen if you're being reinforced for being the one that could get all the girls and you experience that, and you experience, like, all these different things that are causing stimulation, and like Jerry was saying, the different neurological chemicals that make you feel good are being released in a stressful world. Why would you then make that transformation to something that may not release those kind of pieces? And so we want to ask Desiree, the view of somebody like that, the view of the celebrity type that, you know, people are clapping for, and girls have on their wall and posters. That's, they almost are loving this image. What's your idea of that character, and how does that influence your view of the relationship, your future relationship?
I think I've kind of grown out of wanting those types of things out of a man, like somebody who's really popular, who gets a lot of girls, or, like some fallout, stuff like that. Now what I really look for as I've matured is just somebody who is just a good, genuine person who has a good, stable job, someone that I can grow with, somebody who loves God. And those are the things that I genuinely want at this point. I don't really care about the whole, club scene or any of that, but I think that came with maturity. Because when I was first introduced to it, of course it's attractive, it's appealing, you see nice things and those things matter, but then you realize that they're not the best people all the time, most of the time. So it just comes with experience. When you're not, most people, they don't even have that stuff anyway, they just pretend they do, so.
I got to comment on what you said, and this is what most people say. What do you think the difference from, a female wanting a Chris Brown or a Fat Trill, the qualities they have, popularity, looks and stuff like that? And how do you compare it with you wanting a dude that, is a genuinely good person and financially stable and that loves God?
How do they compare it?
What do you think is the difference between that?
Like, what makes the man different? Like, what makes him want those different things?
What makes the girl that wants the popular dude that looks good, and you that wants the dude that's, a genuinely good dude and financially stable and loves God? In that order.
Probably just that. I don't want to be one of many. Self-worth, maturity, having a relationship with God myself. You realize that that's important when you see someone who doesn't have a relationship with God. You see there's a difference. I just think it's gross, honestly.
Yeah. What I was trying to make compare and contrast is that you didn't say God first. You said genuinely good person. Then you said financially stable job. Then you said God. And usually when I ask people who they love, I love my family, I love you, I love God.
Yeah, they're different orders.
If you had that order, and what you say comes out from your heart.
Yeah.
If that's your order, from my understanding and my experiences, you would be the same as that girl that loves Chris Brown. You would have the same problems and go through the same relationships, the same up and down, because God's not for a genuinely good person, which is no genuinely good person. Nobody's genuinely good.
Well, I think that's debatable too, though. Like the idea, is are we genuinely good or genuinely bad? That's been a age-old debate, and especially in psychology. You have schools of thought that say that we're inherently bad. Others say we're inherently good, and I like to think that we're inherently good, and we're corrupted into, or we have a choice. We can say choice of love. We have a choice whether to adopt and internalize corruption. And is the world more attractive than spirit? A lot of times it's the gold calf over and over again. You get a gold calf is in all kind of forms. Do you pick that or do you pick your spiritual essence? And I think, it's unfortunate that a lot of times children don't have the opportunity to make a choice because they're bombarded with the gold calf. So it's at that point, the spiritual piece is even, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, a small pool to get to. Same with love. A lot of people don't experience love. They experience corrupt love, love with conditions. I love you if you do this. I love you if you behave well. I love you if you. So it's children understand that love is conditional. It's not unconditional. It's never unconditional. It's conditional. And, even whether you like me or not, it's conditional. And so we take that into, a lot of times we mask it. If we have money, we wear different stuff and we drive different cars and stuff, but all the inside is how we really feel, and that ends up shaping who we are in a relationship. And whether it be the sister or the brother who figures out later on that he was this, all of a sudden he was Chris Brown. Chris Brown's depressed and maybe bipolar and all these probably like, oh man, it's like that's not the image. But you bought into the persona.
That's why I say love God first. Because if you love God first, then you know that you have to love people for who they are and not try to change them because you're that person. You're not genuinely a good person. Nobody's genuinely a good person. And like you say, as the psychological aspect of it, I mean, if you think we're genuinely good people, like naturally, you think if I punch you in the face, that you genuinely just want to say, oh, it's okay.
Well, so I would think that you genuinely wouldn't want to punch me in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Unless it's kind of...
If I'm mad, this how you say that. I might be mad about something. I just pick something with somebody just to get it out because it makes me feel better. So I start something with you. You don't have to do that. I'm already going to put my hands on you and get my frustration out. You don't know what's going on. You're genuinely a good person and you genuinely do good. You can swing back at me.
Yeah. But see, what I'm saying is that your initial aggression is coming from somewhere. Unless it's mental illness, you weren't born with it. You went through some kind of frustration, whether you weren't held as a child, whether you weren't nurtured the right way to the point where you want to inflict the kind of pain that you feel on somebody else. You're trying to get rid of the pain. That wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And that's saying that, like, me defending myself doesn't mean inherently my choice is to harm you. That's not, even I'm not even, like, it's not malicious where I'm trying to destroy you. I'm defending myself. I wouldn't think that would, tap into, like, whether or not I'm inherently a good or bad person. And, well, let's just say it's an age-old debate. It's both sides, like, are we born deviants that have to find our way later on? Are we born really spiritual beings that are supposed to connect initially to our Creator? But then the world actually affects a certain way. Yeah. 1 minute. Is you back in, Ron?
I know. I'm looking at the time. We have about a minute left in the show, and there's so much more to talk about. This is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I love talking about relationships. I love everything love. I think I'm just a romantic at heart, and I just want to just thank each one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us for this show. We're going to definitely have to get you back. We say that a lot, but I mean, really, we have to get you back because this has been like some real talk for real. Dr. Bruce, I'm going to let you wrap it up with the final minute of the show. If everybody just wants to take like 10 seconds, if you have something that you'd like to say, if you felt like, you've been holding something in.
This is probably the most difficult subject for me to ever talk about. I'm good at talking about stuff. But relationships and love, it hurts talking about it. That's why I study. I usually don't study. I can't think, and I'm thinking about something else right now.
The tagline, our tagline is realize truth before illusions become reality. So this whole piece is about, and sometimes truth is hard, but, the reality sometimes is hard, but almost like instead of the gold calf, you pick truth. You go through the process of transformation. And it feels better to go through reality rather than buy into illusions, because at some point reality is going to come. So it's better to face it.
Okay, and on that note, we want to thank Nicola Macklin for sitting here so patiently and allowing us to share her husband, Jerry, and Desiree, thank you so much, and J-Rock, and Rocky, and of course we couldn't do what we do without our cameraman in the background, Lonzo Brown. Thank you. Want to give you a shout out, Dr. Bruce. It's been real. Real. We want everybody to tune in next month, March, the third Sunday of the month. You can catch us right back here. Good night and God bless.